Thank you for participating in our soil health benchmark study. This video will show you how to take accurate soil samples and how to submit those samples to the Cornell Soil Health Lab. Please follow these instructions closely and don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. Step 1. Plan when to take your soil samples. All of your research fields should be sampled on the same day, so be sure to give yourself enough time. We estimate that soil sampling can take anywhere from 1 to 4 hours depending on the size of your fields and farm, your experience, and soil conditions. Samples should be collected between October 1st and December 31st. Take soil samples after all equipment activity and most soil disturbance is done for the year. It is very important to take soil samples before the ground freezes. Avoid taking samples at times when the soil is too dry or too wet and muddy. A good rule of thumb is if the soil is workable and able to be tilled, it's a good time for soil sampling. If you are able, wait to take samples until at least 2 weeks after your last tillage or soil disturbance event, including after cover crops are planted. If you're sampling a vegetable field and a cover crop will be planted, take the soil sample after cover crop planting and after any field prep operations. If you're sampling a grain, row crop, or forage crop, take the soil sample after crop harvest or after the last cutting of hay. Again, if a cover crop or forage crop will be planted, take the sample after cover crop planting and after any field prep operations. If you're sampling a pasture or paddock, sample after most mowing and grazing is done for the year, but before the ground freezes. Step 2. Collect your samples. First, you'll need to gather the following supplies: 1 5-gallon bucket, a measuring cup, a ruler or tape measure, 2 1-gallon freezer storage bags for each field being sampled. You should have also received labels for your bags from PASA or your coordinating organization, a permanent marker, a shovel, preferably a sharpshooter instead of a pointed tip shovel. Next, you'll plan your sub-sampling locations. For each research field, walk the length of your field and visualize 5 locations where you will dig holes for soil sampling. Locations should be spaced out through the field in a zigzag pattern. At each location, a pair of subsamples will be taken 5 to 10 feet apart from each other. Avoid field borders or any irregular areas or trouble spots, such as a low spot or rock outcropping. Please feel free to reference this graphic as you're planning your soil sampling locations. For fields and vegetable production at the time of sampling, plan to dig 1 hole in a production bed or crop row and another hole in a pathway or aisleway. However, if your system involves permanent beds, meaning the field is not tilled or rotated as a whole unit, dig both holes within the permanent bed. Now you're ready to dig your soil samples. Mark your shovel 6 inches from its edge to ensure consistency in your sample sizes. Remove surface debris around the sampling location. Use your spade or shovel to dig a small hole about 8 inches deep and 8 to 10 inches wide. From the side of the hole, position the shovel at a 90-degree angle to the ground and take a vertical, rectangular slice of soil 6 inches deep and about 2 inches thick. Remove any extra soil hanging past the sides of the shovel to ensure that this subsample is the same width at the top and bottom of the slice. You want to end up with a rectangular 6-inch deep and 2-inch thick slice of soil. If you must use a pointed tip shovel, take extra care to take an even profile of soil. Repeat these steps at the other hole at this location. When you have both soil subsamples from this location, mix the subsamples together, breaking up soil clouds larger than an acorn with your hands. Transfer 1 cup of soil into the pre-labeled 1-gallon Ziploc bag. Make sure the field you're sampling from matches the label on the bag. Repeat these steps at each sub-sampling location for a total of 4 more times. When you finish sampling your field, you should have about 5 cups of soil in your Ziploc bag. Double check to make sure each bag containing your soil sample is clearly labeled with PASA's name, your farm name, field name, soil sampling ID number, and then add the sampling date. Use an additional non-labeled Ziploc bag to double bag each soil sample. Repeat all the steps above for your remaining research fields. Do not mix samples from different research fields. Ensure that the soil samples that have already been collected are not sitting in the direct sunlight while you sample the other fields. Step 3. Pack and ship your samples. Soil samples should be shipped as soon as possible, ideally within 1 day if conditions allow. If you could not avoid taking wet samples, please reference our protocol guide on how to prepare these samples for shipping. Place the labeled samples into the shipping box. Do not send field management records or the postcard to the soil lab. Take the box to the nearest shipping facility, and it's time to mail it to the Cornell Soil Health Lab. The only thing left to do is fill out the questions on the stamped and addressed soil sampling and field operations notes postcard provided by PASA. Put the postcard in the mailbox. This will let us know that you've sent your soil sample. As always, do not hesitate to contact us with any questions. Thanks again for helping grow the soil health movement.